All right. Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. This is our first show exclusively on the KWAZ Radio YouTube channel. I want to hop on real quick and let you guys know what this segment is about. This segment of the Bitter Medicine Podcast is called the Thursday Thoughts segment. Or you could call it the Thursday Motivation or the Thursday Vibes. Either way is fine, but I'm just calling it the Thursday Thoughts show. And the idea of this comes from what Marcus Garvey kind of taught us, right? Marcus Garvey said, you should be, to use a more recent term, you should be journaling. When you read something or you come across a quote or you come across a concept, you should have a book where you write that down, pen and paper or pen and book, and you should write that down. And every month or every few months, you should review what it was that you've been writing down over, a certain period of time. And so this is what the Thursday thoughts are going to be, because this is what I do. I write down thoughts. I journal. I write down thoughts. I go back and I check out the notes that I've written. And so this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to every Thursday I'm going to come in and talk about things that I've written down. The show tonight is about abundance mindset. I've talked about this late 2020, I think it was when I talked about in 2021, let's work on abundance in health, wealth, and relationships. And I've written down notes during this past year on those things. So I intend to bring that to this show. So on the other side of this commercial break, we're going to talk about abundance mindsets. I hope you guys will stick around and join me.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now, your host, whose favorite color is black, Kokou.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Kokou. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I hope you guys can hear me. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, so you guys can hear me. So I also want to add, too, that these shows on Thursdays are going to be short shows. I want to keep them around 30, 35 minutes long, right? So we're going to get right into it. Abundance mindset. Well, what is mindset? Mindset is a set of beliefs that influence your thoughts and your actions. Mindset can be fixed. You can have a fixed mindset or you can have a growth mindset. A fixed mindset means that you believe that your abilities are fixed, is what you're born with, that's it. And because of that, you are less likely to flourish. Some people might call that a victim mindset. Others will call it a scarcity mindset. And I think I'm going to use the scarcity term for that type of mindset tonight. If you have a growth mindset, you have a mindset where you believe that you can increase your abilities, right? You believe that you could take on challenges and learn from them, and that it will take time to work through these challenges, right? It'll take time to work through these new abilities. So, for example, if you are a person who cannot sing, or you cannot play a guitar, or you can't play a piano, the growth mindset type person will say, I can work my way to be a decent singer. I could work my way to be a decent guitarist or decent pianist. But the fixed mindset person is a person who says, well, I'm just not good at it, and so I'm not going to try, right? That's a kind of a victim mentality. But like I said, I'm going to refer to it tonight as a scarcity mentality. Growth mindset individuals believe, again, like I said, talents can develop. For example, hard work, strategy, encouragement, those things can get your talents up to where you need them to be. It's not about looking smart. That's one thing you'll notice with people who have a growth mindset. They're not worried about not doing something because I might not look good at doing it. I might not look smart. They're more about the idea of that it's a learning moment, that there's something that they could learn from this and can improve themselves, right? A growth mindset type individual is empowering. They're committed to what they're trying to do, right? And now it's not easy to attain. Why? Because most of us, we're born with a kind of a fixed mindset trigger. What I mean by that is a lot of us are born with this thing where, how we face challenges, how we receive criticism, um, if we get poor comparisons to others, that leads us to like this insecurity. That leads us to this like defensiveness, right? And those things, that insecurity, that defensiveness, in light of those things, they inhibit your growth, And this is important for Black folks because I'm going to give an example. I hate the fact that I'm going to give this example, but I'm going to give an example of a group that has this kind of mindset. What we got to understand as Black folks is that your mindset can radically affect your life. What do I mean by that? In science, they've done research that proves that how you handle stress, how you create success, your resiliency, and even your immune functions are affected by this mindset. If you have a scarcity mindset, or if you have a growth mindset. Now, why does this matter to me personally? Why was this my Thursday thought? This was my Thursday thought because I was thinking about something Erzuli says all the time. And if you guys are listeners to the show, especially Shoot the Breeze on Saturday nights, you guys know who Erzuli is. His catchphrase is, that's another L. Another one of his catchphrases is, you can't blame the barrel maker. So what does this barrel maker talk about? The learning curve is here saying, greetings, I hear you. Thank you very much, matron. Right? What does this barrel maker talk? So, they always say Black folks are like crabs in a barrel, right? Black folks are crabs in a barrel. But the thing that Erzuli and I talk about when we see each other in person is a lot of folks don't talk about how the crabs get in the barrel, who made the barrel. And so we tended over the years to talk about the barrel maker. And the reality is the barrel maker plays on this scarcity mindset. And you know why that is? The barrel maker comes from a scarcity mindset. The barrel maker comes from scarcity. And you know who the barrel maker is. The barrel maker is the enemy of Black equals African folks, right? They come from that scarcity mindset and they know what it does, right? And so they push you into this barrel with scarcity and the scarcity mindset. But the problem is there's a point where you can't blame the barrel maker any further. There's a point where if you changed your outlook, you change your thinking, and by you, I mean us collectively, change your outlook, change your thinking to a more abundance mindset, you can get rid of some of the ill effects of this barrel maker, this enemy of Black equals African people. Crabs in a barrel, or the crab mentality, is a way of thinking described by the phrase, quote, if I can't have it, neither can you. Doesn't that sound like what the enemy does with us? If I can't have it, says the enemy of Black equals African people, then y'all can't have it, right? And that's what we deal with. So what ends up happening when you look at the crabs in the barrel, a crab might be able to get free, but he's undermined by the other crabs. Everyone's undermining each other, ensuring that the group will have a demise, right? Ensuring the group demise. The barrel maker creates environments, knowledge, economy. He creates the education, the knowledge, the economy of the barrel from his history, as I said before. A scarcity mindset will follow once that is done. So we find ourselves as Black equals African people always in this, most of us always in this scarcity mindset. And for example, this white guy in Europe lived in something called ghettos, right? Who internalizes and uses that same name today, right? Started from the bottom. I'm from the bottoms. I'm from the ghetto. We do that now, right? We're living this guy's past, and he's creating it, but you can change it, right? If you look up this, there's an experiment. What was that guy's name? I think it was Calhoun. Calhoun, I think, was his name. He has this experiment called the behavioral sink. I think about that experiment all the time. As you guys probably know, I used to do research. I was a technician in a research lab that worked with rodents, mice and rats and stuff. And this behavioral sink experiment has kind of haunted me ever since I heard about it. So look up behavioral sink. It's about these mouse experiments on overcrowding and ultimately what overcrowding does. And you'll realize that Black folks live in this kind of behavioral sink as well. So I want you guys to look that up. That's your homework, right? The scarcity mindset is destructive and unnecessary competition based on a belief of if I can't have it, neither can you. Or if someone else wins or is successful in a situation, that means you lose. Instead, we should be thinking along the lines of, there's a possibility that all parties can win, one way or another in a given situation. So the example I could use here is what we see right now currently with the ADOS, FBA, and Friedman, and I'm sure there'll be a group soon coming out called House Nigga. But that's what we're seeing with these guys. You're claiming to have a reparations claim, and that's all good and nice. Have your reparations claim, but how is it being approached? It's being approached through a scarcity mindset. We can't have these other folks in on our stuff. Whereas if you think abundance, right? If you think abundance, you will think, how can we join our reparations claim to the reparations claim that the Caribbeans or Continentals have against the British and the French? How can we strategize together, right? But instead, what we see is that scarcity mindset, cut the check, which is some low energy behavior, right? Just cut a check, right? We cut a check and don't let those booty scratchers over there have any part in it, master. You know, that's a scarcity mindset that we have to get over. All right. I hope everyone's following what I'm saying here today. So the next question is, well, why abundance? And my retort to that is, why not abundance? Some people will literally say to you, why abundance? Right? A lot of these churchgoers will kind of say that. Why abundance? And I say, why not abundance? Right? Abundance is what we need to be about, because abundance has its benefits. When I was studying for my, you guys probably know this by now. I think I've said it before. I have this HR consulting firm, and I had to go through this HR certification. And there's certain things I learned. They didn't call it abundance, but it can be applied to the abundance mindset, right? Some of the benefits of abundance is that you actually have a satisfying life. You have a satisfying life, right? When you think or have an abundance mindset, you actually can be happy in spite of whatever circumstances you're going through. When you have an abundance mindset, you can feel empowered, you can feel creative, you can feel inspired, and you could pass on that inspiration, that creativity, that feeling of being empowered. And that's really what it's about. We got to start spreading this wealth, so to speak, of this abundance mindset. When you have an abundance mindset, and this is key, when you have an abundance mindset, it allows you to recognize new opportunities, take advantage of them, and enjoy the outcomes. Abundance mindset gives you a meaningful life experience. An abundance mindset makes you feel secure or confident in life, right? And creating successful outcomes, right? And you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but is it the case, or is it not the case that that's exactly what most Black equals African folks need globally? They need these items. They need to feel better about themselves. And this is how you get out of the barrel. An abundance mindset. I once told a friend of mine that, how can I feel free? Let's say we're in a situation, I escape, and all my children, all my friends, families are still in bondage. How can I ever feel free? But if you think abundance, that, hey, together we could get out, we could work together and get out this situation, you'll feel much better about getting out of that situation. You see me? One of the things that, again, they didn't use these terms when I did my HR stuff, but the thing with HR is that it's about working with people resources. And so there's a whole kind of sweet science behind how you work with teams, how you work with people, how you motivate, etc. So one of the things that they talked about in a way was like, and I'm going to just present them as examples of scarcity versus abundance thinking in Black society, is your point of view is different. For example, in scarcity, most people's point of view is kind of like victim, is either victim or bully. You look at Black communities, you're either thinking that you're a victim or you're out here taking advantage of your own people, right? There's a third state too, and that state is checked out. Most Black folks are checked out. I talked about this all the time, but I talked about it recently about living with your head in the cloud. Like, most Black folks are checked out. All they concerned with is what I'm going to eat, drink, screw, watch, etc., shit, etc., right? I promised I wasn't going to curse in this show, and I did. But that's just the reality of it. That's a scarcity mindset, right? You're just going to go through the minimums. right? In an abundance mindset, you say to yourself, I'm in control. I decide what I'm going to do. Now, let's keep it real. If you're deciding to get this abundance mindset today, you're going to have a couple of problems, but you should still acquire the abundance mindset regardless. The couple of problems you're going to have is if you say, well, I'm in control, I could make $1 billion tomorrow. Well, you're going to have some roadblocks there. And we know that some of them are going to be racialized roadblocks because your enemy doesn't want to see you have that kind of abundance, right? But it's not to say that you can't work towards goals that, although you might not make 30 billion, you could make money in this world. You could be able to take care of your family and do the things that you want to do, but you have to have the mindset to do it. The next thing, when you talk about scarcity versus abundance, there's the physical aspect. People who believe in, who have a scarcity mindset are always drained. They're always physically drained. Bobby E. Wright is here saying, I agree. Most of our people are concerned only with immediate personal comfort and not the collective. Absolutely. Abundance mindset. Right? You're always physically drained when you have that scarcity mindset. Whereas if you had an abundance mindset, you're always present. You're always rooted. You're always alert. You're relaxed, right? Because you know something's coming, something's happening, right? Let's look at emotionally, scarcity versus abundance. Emotionally, when your mindset is scarcity, you're always anxious, you're afraid, you're angry, you're overwhelmed, and most of all, you feel powerless. A lot of our Black equals African people feel powerless all the time. And so this is why they go back to the shit I talked about earlier, right? Where you just checked out. You're thinking about what you're going to eat, drink, screw, watch, this, that, and the other. Well, what entertainment you're going to get into. Because emotionally, you feel powerless. And by the way, that emotional stuff ties into health as well, right? That's when you feel overwhelmed and angry and powerless, and so you comfort eat. You eat bad things to make yourself feel good. You have to have an abundance mindset. An abundance mindset, when you talk about emotion, an abundance mindset is empowered, it's engaged, it's positive, it inspires others. You know what I mean? It's excited about challenges because the abundance mindset understands that the challenge is going to lead to learning opportunities, is going to lead to growth. Going back to the guitar, the piano, the guitar in particular is particularly difficult on the fingers. I play guitar. It's particularly difficult on the fingers in the beginning. A lot of people drop out right there. But if you think the abundance, you think on the other side of that, I could play my favorite Bob Marley song. I could play my favorite Michael Jackson song or what have you. Think the abundance part. Think of how much joy that will bring you on the other side. So this little bit of pain that we're going through now is just temporary, right? That's how the abundance mindset deals with emotions. Engaged, empowered, positive. That's what I want from you guys. There's a mental aspect to this too. The scarcity mindset is disorganized, narrow thinking. They have thoughts like, I have no choice but to ... That's the bullshit that we see out here in the streets, where a guy will take your life. A guy who looks just like you will take your life because somehow he feels he has no choice but to do so. The reason why we can't unify and get together is because of a scarcity mindset. Mentally speaking, we're disorganized. But look at an abundance thinking or abundance mindset person. They're creative. They see what others can't see. They see things from different angles. They see opportunities. They're flexible. They're adaptable. They're non-judgmental. They have thoughts like, I have a choice. I can do better. I can do something else, something different. Which one do you want to have? Do you want to have the abundance mindset or the scarcity mindset? Do you want to have a scarcity mindset that controls your point of view, that controls your physical health, your physicality, that controls your emotions in a negative way, that controls your mentality in a negative way? And then what happens when the majority of the people have this scarcity mindset? Is what we see exactly today. We can't get together because we're only thinking suffering. And by the way, in this consciousness too, there's a scarcity mindset in consciousness too. Historically, and I've told a story about my uncle. My uncle, when he came, after he got his education in America, he came home and created a socialist party and couldn't get work. And one of their slogans was something along the lines of like, dare to dream, dare to struggle, or something like that. Yeah, dare to dream, dare to struggle. And it's like, what's this struggle talk all the time? You go around Black equals African organizations, it's that same struggle mentality. You don't have to be struggling. You don't have to have a scarcity mindset. Think abundance. I'm going to do a station ID break here. On the other side, I'm going to list off 5 ways you could have an abundance mindset, and then we'll call that an episode. Like I said, I'm keeping these episodes on Thursdays pretty short, so bear with me. We'll be back on the other side, and we'll talk about these 5 strategies of achieving this abundance mindset.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the pro-Black perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the revolutionary matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
I want to thank all of you who are tuned in for this first segment of the Thursday Thoughts of the Bitter Medicine Podcast that's exclusive on KWAZ Radio. I see, like I said, the Learning Curve was here. Bobby E. Wright was here, and I'm sure others are here as well. I just don't know that they're here. And I'm hoping that more folks who tune into the Bitter Medicine Podcast on the YouTube, on the Bitter Medicine Podcast YouTube live streams, I hope more folks will tune in here in the future as well. So we're talking about this abundance mindset versus scarcity. I just went through what scarcity mindset looks like in terms of your personal point of views, your physicality, your emotions, your mentality, and you don't want that, right? I think if you're here with me right now, do you guys want scarcity mindsets or do you want abundance mindsets? Drop a 1 if you want abundance, 2 if you prefer scarcity, because some people do prefer scarcity. There's less responsibilities with scarcity, right? You don't have to be on as much, etc. But I just want to finish this broadcast by saying how to have an abundance mindset. Number 1, believe in yourself, believe in your thoughts. Ask yourself, are my thoughts about this situation, whatever it is, based in fear and scarcity? That's something I had to ask myself personally recently. Are my thoughts about this, is it based on fear that if I spend this money, I won't see it back, and that's not a good mindset to have. Scared money don't what? Make money. Number 2, practice reciprocity. Not just practice reciprocity and gratitude. There's something Oprah said one time. And you guys might not like Oprah, that's fine. Oprah said something like, if you look at what you have in life, you will have more, right? She then said, if you look at what you don't have, you will never have enough. You understand? If you look at all the stuff that you don't have, you'll never have enough. You'll always be wanting more and more. So keep that in mind. Practice reciprocity and gratitude. Number 3, believe that the sky is the limit. What I mean by that? A lot of times, Black Eagles African folks, we get tunnel visioned, right? Life throws stuff at us and we focus on one thing. We focus on the negative. And I'm going to talk about why we do that in a second. But if you just focus on this one thing that's going on, the one bad thing, the one negative thing, you're missing the opportunities that are right in front of you. Like, they've actually done scientific studies where they've made people focus on something and miss key things, key developments right in front of their eyes. So just believe that there's a big, bright blue sky out there and there's all sorts of opportunities and things you could do. Number 4, share and provide value to others. When you do that, you reinforce within yourself your own knowledge. So when you see like a guy, let's take a guy like Onita Say from the pro-Black perspective. When he comes through and he shares his understanding of something, right? It gives value, but it also reinforces his thinking as well. When I do my shows, I try to provide value and also try to reinforce my thoughts about these topics as well. And last but not least, but number 5, notice the good. Notice the good. Now, why am I saying notice the good? What you might not know is that our ancestors, our human ancestors, our Black Eagles African ancestors in particular, they had to see the bad because they had to be able to determine threats that were coming. We inherited that. Why? Because it's a part of our evolution. We also need to be able to determine threats that are coming. So it's like an innate thing at this point where we see the bad. But like I said earlier, if you just focus on the bad, you won't see the good. So learn to notice the good things too. 2021, we spent a lot of time, and I see it seems to actually ramp up right now. We spent a lot of time looking at the ADOS, FBA, Freedmen, House Negro movements. But there's good out there still. You can still go, like today I was on Twitter and I saw Lero, I saw Sister Wahida, I saw Great House, I saw a few others talking about Africa and talking about loving Africa, not romanticizing Africa. That's what I call focusing on the good. See those things and don't see the negative things all the time. With that said, that's the end of this episode. I hope it was a good first Thursday Thoughts segment of the Bitter Medicine Podcast, exclusively on the KWAZ Radio YouTube channel. I hope you guys will tune in next time, next Thursday to this segment, but also I hope you would tune in to the show on Saturday night on the regular YouTube channel, the Saturday Night Shoot the Breeze. I hope to see you guys there. Make sure you guys are checking out all the other shows on KWAZ Radio. I'll see you guys on Saturday. I hope this was useful. Let me know in the chat or in the comments if it was useful to you. Until next time, peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Kokou. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.